So hello and welcome to the Fleetful channel. My name's Holly and this is Dr. Arielle, and we're here to talk to you today about canine plant-based nutrition to make sure that your dog leads a long and healthy, happy life. Today we're going to talk about itchy skin and your dog. We're going to be talking about 5 things you can do to make sure that your dog stops itching and becomes a healthy, happy dog again. Today with us we have Dr. Arielle, vegan vet nutritionist with over 25 years of experience of being a GP vet and I think about 5 years experience of being a canine nutritionist. Welcome, Dr. Arielle. How are you today?
Thanks so much, Holly. Yes, really good and just so excited about this topic. Top of the agenda for all of us.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Arielle, you've been a vegan vet nutritionist for a long time now, and also you are the brains behind the masterclass, the canine plant-based nutrition masterclass, which we will talk about later on in this video. I've just been hearing so much from different owners on different social media groups, obviously my customers, people who I go walking around in the park or on the land, on various bits that I go walking on. What I'm hearing from everyone is there's so many dogs out there with itchy skin. I think I was talking to a vet the other day and they said that 40% of their consultations are actually around itchy skin. So is this actually true? And what are vets currently doing to be able to help these dogs?
Yes, Holly, you're absolutely right. Very sadly, 40% of the cases that we see in our consultations as vets tends to be dogs that are really uncomfortable with itchy skin, or they have really infected skin, they have itchy ears, they have infected ears, yeasty ears, they have a yeasty smell about them, and they're at home and all they do is scratch or lick, and it is such a concern because the quality of life of an itchy dog is not a good one.
So what are vets currently doing to help itchy skin? Because it doesn't seem, whatever they are doing doesn't actually seem to be working. What is the offering if somebody goes to the vet now and says, right, my dog, oh my gosh, I'm in tears because my dog's got blood coming out of their paws and look at this itchy patch and won't stop scratching. What are vets currently doing? What's on offer for people who go to the vets?
Yeah, so the very first thing that we have to remind ourselves is that vets have 10 to 15 minutes in a consultation, and a problem with itchy skin tends to be one that requires so much longer than that. So what vets will tend to do is reach for the quick fix solution, which sadly is going to be either cortisone or something called Apoquel, and it has a lot of side effects. I have written a blog article about it because it's heavily promoted to veterinary practices, but actually carries so many concerns in that it can cause lumps, and these lumps can end up cancerous in your dog if they are prone to getting these lumps. So that's one thing we want to try and avoid. But the other thing to something that they're eating, and they do need to go on to hydrolyze these prescription diets. Now, these prescription diets tend to be highly processed. They are meat-based, and what they've done is, or fish-based or chicken-based, and what they've done is they've actually broken down these animal proteins into such tiny particles that the dog does not recognize, the allergic intolerant dog doesn't recognize that amino acid as a problem and copes with it. But in order to do this, what they're doing is they're highly processing animal protein. So one of the diets, I've I don't want to name and shame, but so can you imagine that you're not only giving a highly processed kibble diet, but you're actually giving broken down chicken feathers. It's got a really, and this is one of the main diets that's out there. One of the others, the fifth ingredient, is actually pure sugar, to actually increase the palatability of these diets. I have had one doggy mum, and she said to me, but hang on, so you mean that they're taking animal proteins, they're highly processing it into a highly processed food, and then that's being fed to our dogs? But they're very expensive, these prescription diets. And I said, actually, yes, when you look at it that way, yes, that sadly is all that vets are able to recommend at this stage, until they know more about plant-based feeding, which is what my mission is to
absolutely
just spread the message.
Absolutely. And hopefully this recording will get out there, and some of the up-and-coming vets who are open to looking at different diets and actually, you know, developing their information and their background on nutrition, hopefully that they'll start to do a bit more research as well. So I think it's good that we're talking about this right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell everybody, we'll make sure that we're putting the links to your blogs and everything that we mentioned in today. We'll put everything in the description so people can have an easy access. So do have a look in the description if we mention anything that you're interested in and doing a bit more research yourself. So we've talked about the problem that's out there and what vets are currently doing as soon as they, you know, see a dog for 15 minutes. But what are the reasons why a dog might have itchy skin, Dr. Arielle?
So the 90% of dogs that have an itchy skin is going to be due to an environmental allergen, and most dogs, and I've speak from personal experience here because I've actually had a Labrador who all her life she suffered from house dust mite allergies. So house dust mite environmental allergens tend to be the most common, and those are the ones that we see most commonly, which is a difficult one because it's a problem with your dog's immunity. And that's the basic problem that we're getting is just a disruption in your dog's immunity. Then we do get a small percentage of these dogs who have these intolerances to house dust mites, to pollen, to grass, to certain types of trees and tree sap, and they actually tend to fall into the category of being highly sensitive breeds, but they also do have intolerances to protein. And the published studies is that it's actually animal protein that falls right at the top of, and there are published studies, you can put that in the link, that it is actually beef that is the most highly allergenic, or I don't like the word allergies, but it's the one that dogs are most likely to be intolerant to.
And all associated, so not just beef, but cheese, milk, everything to do with the cow.
Correct. Well done with that, because obviously then dairy comes second because it's exactly the same DNA. So we've got the same DNA with the cheese, the licking out the yogurt pots. If your dog has a huge intolerance to beef or to animal protein, then any tiny bit of cheese that they might have will cause problems. But not just that, we've also got a lot of medication that is given to dogs, or even some supplements that vets recommend, that comes in capsules, and those capsules are made of gelatin, which is made from the hooves of cows, so exactly the same DNA. So a dog that's highly sensitive will actually react. So turning your dog vegan or 100% plant-based and looking at every ingredient if you have a highly sensitive dog is so important. Sorry, just going back to your original question. I forgot your original.
No, you're absolutely on the right track. I mean, I was just going to ask some more about that, because you mentioned the beef, you mentioned the dairy, but actually there is a long list of maybe I think 8 or 9 main allergens that dogs need to watch out for. I think there's soya and corn in there as well, but they're not necessarily high up on the list.
No,
the main ones are, you know, the chicken, the fish, the beef, the dairy. You know, so cutting out those will really help, which is why we're seeing in all of the raw feeding circles, and I don't know why I do this, and I look on social media and I'm in these groups and I see, and it's just like, they're just like, you must feed raw, but you must feed a novel protein. So you must go down the route of, rabbit, and then somebody else says, oh no, you can't feed rabbit for too long because it does this, this, this. And every single person who isn't a canine nutritionist has got their own opinion and they think they're right. And it's all around, let's feed this 80-10-10 malarkey. And, and it's just, the answer is so simple. The ultimate novel protein is plants. I just don't get why it's not more of a thing. And I think it is becoming more of a thing, because when people switch from raw or whatever processed meat-based processed diet that they're feeding their dog to a plant-based diet, especially if it's a fresh plant-based diet, then they see huge differences. You must have on your course, I believe there's an example of Buddy, who I'm not sure was raw fed, but certainly was spending so much money in the vets because he was not very well. Do you remember Buddy?
Correct, yes, and I just want to quickly go back, absolutely,
sure.
Because what you mentioned, so definitely that list that you mentioned, the beef, the rabbit, the chicken, the fish, the pork, lamb, these are all in the top 10. Soya, corn, rice is a big one, wheat is a very big one. These are all top concerns, but I just want to go back to why I absolutely agree that raw feeding, unfortunately, when you have raw feeders, and I attended a webinar last night, and it quite shocked me, is that statistically 60% of owners in the UK are now feeding their dogs a raw food diet because they don't trust kibble and they don't trust the biscuits, and those statistics are quite shocking. But the improvements that they're getting from taking them away from a kibble diet, so when you consider it's not just the animal proteins, but you've also got to consider that kibble is made up, and meat-based pet food industry is there to make a profit. And all these very large meat-based kibble companies will be buying from the same big manufacturers, and they will buy genetically modified soya or genetically modified corn or genetically modified wheat. And because it's cheaper, it's grown for cattle, it's grown for sheep, but it's also used in the meat-based dog food industry. And when you have a genetically modified food, what it means is that it's been genetically modified to withstand pesticides. So you've got a whole field of let's say soya growing, which is very valuable to feed the livestock industry. You've got weeds that grow amongst there, and they don't want weeds, they want the soil to be used just for the soya. So they genetically modify the soya so that it can withstand these pesticides. They then spray the crops to kill the weeds, and it's these ingredients that are used in the meat-based industry as well that are actually with us, now that we're looking at highly processed foods in humans, but it's the same in dogs, is what effect are these pesticides that are being used on these big crops. So we're not even talking meat, we're talking the big crops. So that's why people do tend to see a complete difference in their dogs. Yes, they may not have an intolerance to meat, but suddenly they go onto a fresh food diet and they're not being exposed to these pesticide covered corn, soya, wheat that is in the kibble food. So that's where the plant-based space is so valuable, because what we are doing with plant-based food is, first of all, we're eliminating the use of any animal protein. So you've got no bioaccumulation, because obviously you've got the cow eating the soya, this wheat and this corn that's coated in pesticides. You've got this bioaccumulation that's going through the meat, first of all. But if you take the pure plant and you don't use these ingredients, you don't use the soya, you don't use the wheat, and if you're going to use corn or maize, you choose genetically modified organic maize, then you're eliminating all of these potential problems. And that's
why in Fleetful we only choose organic ingredients, and I know that you promote GM free as well, and as much as possible, and every small change that anybody can do for their own health and their dog's health with regards to organic. This is where my passion is. It's huge. Let's get rid of the chemicals.
Yes.
Sorry, I'll let you carry on, because I hope it's going to carry on so we can talk about how this impacts our immunity as well.
Absolutely. So I mean, that is the crux of really the beauty of where plant-based comes in, is we can eliminate all the sources that we know are potential problems. So if we've got highly sensitive dogs that have intolerances to meat proteins, we can eliminate all of them. We can eliminate the fish, because we can use omega-3 algae oil, which has the purest form. It's actually where fish get their omegas from. We can eliminate all the meat-based proteins and replace it with the most nutritious fiber-filled proteins, which is going to come from lentils and chickpeas and beans and the hemp protein and chia seeds. And we've got incredible sources of protein, and quinoa that is so high in protein, that hasn't been genetically modified, that is pure. There's no bioaccumulation of any toxins. So this straight away helps protect your dog from future cancers, but how the immunity is protected by a dog on a plant-based diet is 70% of our immunity sits in our gut. And if we can promote a healthy gut microbiome in both ourselves and in our dog, that is the secret to everything. And that is the secret to healthy skin.
So we've talked about the reasons why dogs are getting itchy, and actually it's a lot more complicated than we realize. It's not just cut the meat out, it's actually what else is in these processed meat diets, and why people are seeing a slight improvement, because I think that's actually what's happening. They're going, it is a bit better when I switched to raw over but remember, these raw companies are still buying waste meat. They're still getting advantage of cheap meat from waste butchers and that, you know, they're still able to take advantage of that, and this meat is still eating from the GM fields. It's just there's no added bits, I guess, and it's not processed, so there are less chemicals than there would normally be in processed meat-based dog food. That's my kind of thoughts anyway. But yeah, let's talk about the things that we can do then to stop our dogs from itching, and you have touched on a couple of them. So in at number one is to cut out animal proteins. Do you agree with that, Dr. Arielle? Is one, like, if your dog's seriously suffering, follow these 5 steps and get in touch if they don't work. Because we're almost guaranteed, you know, if you give your dog a month of doing these 5 steps, then you're going to be on the right track. So in at number one is cutting out animal proteins.
So number one, absolutely, is choose a truly novel protein diet, and the purest truly novel protein diet that you can choose for your dog is the best of all of them is a whole food, plant-based, fresh diet. Yes, we do have the option of nutritionally sound kibble food, but to me, a fresh whole food plant-based diet is going to be the ultimate one that provides everything that your dog's gut microbiome needs. It eliminates any concerns that you may have if your dog has sensitivities to animal proteins, but it provides the right level of nutrients to keep the good gut bacteria happy.
Brilliant. And I think that leads us to number 2 then, in our top 5 ways to help your dog with itchy skin, which is to add in more organic vegetables and fruits into your dog's diet. Obviously, you shouldn't be adding in fruit and vegetables that your dog shouldn't be eating, like onions or raisins or grapes or anything like that. But we keep mentioning the gut microbiome, so things like carrots with skin on, organic apples with skin on, these are all fibers which are going to be able to feed the lower gut and help your good bacteria, or say you as in us, the dogs and us, because our immune systems or our gut, the way that we process these fibers is actually quite similar, isn't it, Dr. Arielle?
So you're so right. At number 2, with choosing organic ingredients, is just choosing the freshest, best ingredients that you can to naturally feed the gut microbiome. So what we've got is we've got these good gut bacteria that just want to thrive. They want to replicate, they want to produce their own food, and it's actually the food that these good gut bacteria produce that is so incredibly beneficial to us and to our dogs. Interestingly, we have a very similar gut microbiome to our dogs because we tend to eat a very similar type of food. And what these good gut bacteria do is they take in their nutrients, which is going to be fiber. It's going to be the apple skin and the carrot skin and the banana and the legumes and those delicious fiber that you're feeding your dog. It's going to take in the fiber, and what it does is it's able, because mammalian enzymes, our dogs and us, don't have the ability to actually cleave or open up this cellulose fiber, but these good gut bacteria have that ability, and as soon as they've done that, they release these incredibly important nutrients called polyphenols, called tannins, called phytonutrients. These are released, and it's these that we've got one called butyrate that is a type of acid, and what it does is it acidifies the food of the good gut bacteria from opening up these fibers helps to acidify the environment, the intestinal tract. Now, if you imagine that the villi of the gut lie like this, these are the villi, and they all have a lining. And there is something called a biofilm, which is this wonderful layer of short-chain fatty acids that these beautifully organized good gut bacteria are making in the gut. So they're actually helping to form this healthy biofilm. And what this biofilm does is it acts like a layer. It stops the really bad guys, the toxins, the bacteria, the viruses from entering. So that's where 70% of our immunity is governed by the gut microbiome. But because it's this biofilm's given this perfect environment to our dog's gut, with the right pH, it allows the important absorption of selenium and magnesium and protein and fats. And all of this benefits our dog's skin. And all of this helps to stabilize this layer of skin that we've got. If you imagine the skin of your dog is like a layer of cement, and if it's stronger with having the right nutrients to form it, that epithelial layer is stronger, it can withstand the bacteria, and we sort out that immunity then we're going to have healthier skin. So that's why I'm just passionate about the gut microbiome, as you can hear. So that was number 2, is our organic vegetables and our fiber that we can feed. And I have 4 recipes that I launched on my website. Holly has them in an easier form if you want to make them, if you want to do lots of weighing, and have 4 recipes where they are all nutritionally complete and you can actually get the exact measurements for your dog. These are available. But why I've done 4 recipes is I've got 30 different types of fibers and plant nutrients and colors that we can feed our dogs. So just so important is the gut microbiome.
So in at number 3 is to try and avoid other chemicals outside of your dog's food, so harsh cleaning chemicals that might be on the floor, bleaches, anything that might disrupt the dog's gut microbiome.
The use of harsh cleaning chemicals and the use of very chlorinated water. So the gut microbiome in different families differs in different parts of the UK. So you might have very harsh water, highly chlorinated in certain big cities, which you feed to yourself, you feed to your dog, and this will affect the gut microbiome in your family. So to alleviate this, or with this, we use a Brita filter, and our little Ruff actually gets his drinking water as well from the Brita filter, just all to protect the gut microbiome. We don't want that chlorine in our dog's gut. A bit like having antibiotics. We don't ever want our dog to have antibiotics.
So in at number 4 is Arielle, don't you sell some certain wipes that help dogs with skin conditions?
The CLX wipes that we stock, and why I stock them is because when you consider that a contact allergen is going to be one of the ones that really can affect your dog, make them so itchy. So the best thing to do is to actually, and contact allergens, we mean pollen, we mean grass. A lot of these highly sensitive dogs that sit and lick their paws tend to have these contact allergies. These CLX wipes are mildly impregnated with something that will kill the yeast. It's slightly antibacterial. They are soothing. They are chemicals though, so it's important that if you use them, to use them every day just to wipe away. I mean, perfect for ears, wonderful for dogs with yeasty ears, to wipe away the ears for these dogs with all their folds, to actually use them in the folds where you've got this infected skin. Just be careful if you use them too much on dogs' paws and they then lick after you've used the CLX wipes. That's not great. So just distract your dog once you've wiped their paws. But these wipes do definitely help, which is why, and it then stops the addition of the need for medication, which is what vets will rush to when you've got a highly intolerant dog or a highly sensitive dog.
Arielle, also earlier in our chat, you mentioned algae oil. So in at number 5 is to add algae oil to your dog's diet. Now, please explain to us how this helps.
Use of omega-3 fatty acids. So as I explained about these beautiful little good gut bacteria and how beneficial they are in providing us with these short-chain fatty acids, our dogs also need a certain level of essential fatty acids. Essential meaning that it has to be taken into the diet. They can make a certain level themselves, and dogs are able to make there's different types of omega-3s. We've got DHA and EPA, and then we've got ALA. Now ALA is the omega-3 that you find in flaxseed. So a lot of people say give flaxseed to your dog because then they'll get their omega-3s, and the same in humans. Now, in order for this to be beneficial to us, this ALA, it has to be converted into DHA and EPA, which is the beneficial one that helps our health and our dog's health. But the conversion rate of ALA in our dogs is very, very low. The conversion rate of ALA to DHA and EPA is extremely low in our dogs. So it is important to actually give the pure DHA and EPA. And this comes in something I'm equally as passionate about, the gut microbiome, but I'm equally as passionate about omega-3 algae oil, which is where fish get their omegas from. So normally fish oil needs to undergo a purification process. So if you buy cod liver oil, it has to be purified about 5 times before you can give it to yourself or your dog, to remove the lead, the mercury, the arsenic. And as our oceans become even more polluted, this becomes even more of a problem. But can you imagine that sometimes this doesn't happen to the right degree, because obviously there's expense involved. So you're going to choose the cheapest form of cod liver oil, and this is going to go into dog food, is the cheapest form of these oils. So when you've got these oils, you've got the bioaccumulation of these toxins. So don't use those fish oils, and that it's not sustainable either at all. We've got to protect our oceans. So you've got these wonderful farmers, and these are farmers in Holland who are just so clever. They have these enormous bioreactors. They actually cultivate microalgae that the fish eat, and one species, Gizobacterium I think it's called, they cultivate them in these huge bioreactors. So you can imagine the amount of oxygen it's producing, the amount of carbon dioxide it's taking away and using out is fantastic. And it makes this pure algae oil, which can be fed to our dogs. And this is the pure form of DHA and EPA. So these I recommend with the recipes. Holly has them as well with her Fleetful. And I have it just to buy, because actually the amount that you can, and it's a human one that I sell, because I found the one with the highest levels of DHA and EPA, which is a human one, Vegetology. And you, with a dog with really itchy skin, you can actually double the amount that you give. And dogs do like it. It has an umami flavor. They don't have this fishy breath with it. So much you can do to sort out itchy dogs on a plant-based diet.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And just on the algae oil, sorry, the baby's here, wants to join in on the YouTube. So the algae oil is part of the Mighty Millet recipe kit that Fleetful offer, and also, like you mentioned, on all your recipes do contain this, because it is so good. It's literally the best that you can offer yourself, and also the best that you could offer your dog with regards to the omega-3, DHA and EPA. And we are seeing huge differences in dogs who take this. And yeah, we'll put some links down to some blogs of examples. Oh, that little it breaks my heart. He also has this, by the way. So my baby's here, and every morning we have a smoothie, and he has a bit of algae oil in his smoothie because it's the vitamin D. It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff.
Perfect. It's so good for him. Yes, it's pure omegas, which is ideal.
Absolutely.
I do the same with our little Rose. I make up a smoothie every morning, just full of whole foods with banana and chia seeds and protein hearts, and I blend it, and he sits and waits for his.
Absolutely. Let me just put this toy over here. Have a look at the toy, mate. He wants the computer. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Arielle. There we have it. We have the what is itchy skin, what a vet's currently doing that's not working or not working long term. We've also talked about hi. So there we have it. What you can do to help your itchy dog. So remember to like, share and subscribe this channel. If you want us to have a chat about anything else, just let us know in the comments. And remember also to share with like-minded people and people who you think would find this interesting. We want to know about your itchy dogs. We want to hear their stories, and we want to help. So please do get in touch. Dr. Arielle, thank you for your time. I'm going to say goodbye now. And yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Absolute pleasure. Bye.
Thanks, Dr. Arielle. Bye.